The laughter echoed across the courtroom, sharp and careless, and it landed on her like a verdict already decided. The colonel leaned back in his chair, amused, confident, certain that the young woman standing alone before him had no power in that room. What he did not know was that within minutes, the same room would fall silent when a single order forced him to stand, straighten his spine, and salute the very person he had just mocked. Asterisk, what city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more stories about extraordinary people. She stood at attention near the center aisle, hands calm at her sides, posture steady, eyes forward. Her uniform was simple, unadorned by excess ribbons or medals. To anyone watching, she looked like a junior officer who had wandered into a storm far larger than herself. Her name was Captain Elena Ward, and she had come to military court accused of insubordination during a classified operation. The charge was serious. The atmosphere was heavier still. The courtroom was filled with senior officers, legal staff, and observers who believed they already understood how this would end. The colonel presiding over the hearing was known for his sharp tongue and his belief that discipline was enforced through dominance. He glanced at her file, then at her face, and smiled in a way that suggested this was not a trial but a lesson he intended to teach. Captain Ward had been summoned after refusing a direct command in the field. According to the report, she had delayed an extraction, altered a tactical plan, and taken control without authorization. On paper, it looked like arrogance. In reality, it was survival. She had led a joint task team through a collapsing corridor of intelligence. The original command had been based on outdated data. If she had followed it, 3 units would have walked into an ambush. Instead, she rerouted them, absorbed responsibility, and completed the mission without casualties. The success was undeniable. The defiance was not forgiven. As the proceedings began, the colonel spoke first, his voice carrying a tone of theatrical authority. He questioned her decisions with mock seriousness, pausing to look around the room as if inviting agreement. When he mentioned her age and limited visible decorations, the laughter returned, quieter but still sharp. He called her bold. He called her reckless. Then he laughed openly. Captain Ward did not react. She did not lower her eyes or shift her weight. Her face remained composed, her breathing steady. Those who knew her understood that silence was her discipline. She had learned long ago that strength did not announce itself. When asked why she disobeyed orders, she answered simply and clearly. She stated that the orders would have resulted in loss of life. She stated that she assumed responsibility as ranking officer present. The colonel raised an eyebrow. He tapped the file with one finger. Ranking officer present. He repeated, amused. According to this, you were not. A murmur moved through the room. Captain Ward remained still. The colonel leaned forward. He asked her if she understood the chain of command. He asked her if she believed herself above protocol. He asked the questions not to learn but to humiliate. She answered each one with respect, precision, and calm. She did not argue. She did not defend her ego. She defended her actions. That only seemed to entertain him more. At one point, he gestured broadly and said that courage without obedience was nothing more than ego. He laughed again, louder this time, and said that medals were not given for improvisation. That was when the doors at the back of the courtroom opened. No announcement was made. No fanfare followed. The sound of boots against polished floor drew attention without asking for it. Conversation stopped. Heads turned. And Admiral entered the room. He was older, his uniform marked with years of command rather than decoration. His presence shifted the balance of the space instantly. Even the colonel straightened in his chair, surprise flickering across his face. The Admiral did not look at the colonel. He walked forward with measured steps and stopped beside Captain Ward. He asked one question. Is this the officer who rerouted the task group and prevented the ambush near the northern corridor? The room was silent. A legal officer answered quietly. Yes, sir. The Admiral nodded once. He turned to face the colonel for the first time. He asked why the court had not yet Acknowledge Captain Ward's classified standing. The colonel hesitated. He said the file showed nothing beyond her current rank. The Admiral's voice remained calm, but the weight behind it was unmistakable. He stated that the file the colonel was holding was incomplete by design. He stated that Captain Ward's operational authority exceeded what was publicly recorded. The colonel opened his mouth to respond. No sound came. The Admiral continued. He explained that Captain Ward had been operating under special appointment, reporting directly to Strategic Command during joint operations. He explained that her authority in the field superseded local command when specific conditions were met. Those conditions had been met. The Admiral then looked at Captain Ward and spoke her full designation, including the authority she carried during the mission. The words settled over the room like a final truth. He turned back to the colonel. He gave a single, direct order. Colonel, you will stand. The chair scraped softly as the colonel rose. His face drained of color. You will render a salute to Captain Ward, the Admiral said, acknowledging her authority and her service. For a moment, the colonel did not move. Then training overrode pride. His hand rose. His posture snapped straight. He saluted. Captain Ward returned the salute with perfect form. The courtroom remained frozen. The laughter from earlier felt distant now, like a mistake no one wanted to remember. The Admiral addressed the room. He stated that Captain Ward's actions had saved lives. He stated that adaptability under pressure was not a flaw but a requirement. He stated that leadership was measured not by volume or rank alone, but by responsibility taken when it mattered most. He dismissed the charges. The colonel sat down slowly, the weight of his earlier confidence gone. He did not speak again. Captain Ward was released from the stand. She did not smile. She did not seek acknowledgement. She simply turned and walked toward the exit, her step steady, her expression unchanged. Outside the courtroom, the world continued as it always had. But for those inside, something had shifted. They had witnessed the quiet force of competence. They had seen authority revealed not through arrogance, but through action. Captain Ward returned to duty that day without ceremony. She would never speak of the trial. She would never use it as proof of her worth. She did not need to. Her lesson was simple and lasting. Respect does not come from laughter or intimidation. It comes from knowing when to stand firm, even when no one believes you should. Sometimes, the loudest voice in the room is wrong. Sometimes, the quiet one carries the truth. And sometimes, the salute that matters most is the one given in silence, when humility finally recognizes strength. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.